Hello peeps, I'm back. Sorry I was away last week, I was sick. Still kind of sick actually. I have a cough drop in my mouth. Yeah, so anyway, welcome to Annoyed Gamer. Thanks for all the well wishes that I got via Twitter and Facebook that, you know, whenever you figured out I was full of flu. The wife got sick and I got sick right afterwards, so yeah, don't blame my wife. Seriously, you don't want to mess with that woman. First thing I'm going to talk about is dark matter. What is dark matter, you might say? And why does it matter? Dark Matter is an indie game that came out on Steam and was on Good Old Games as well, GOG.com. People played it. People thought they completed it. Game didn't have an ending because it wasn't finished. Turns out that the developers didn't have enough money to finish the game. They tried to kickstart the end of the game for 50 grand. They didn't make that. So they packaged it up, put it on Steam, put it on a couple of other outlets and sold it for, I think, anywhere between $13 and $15. So people who bought it got to a rather janky screen at the very end which says maybe to be continued and says the character goes off and has a cup of tea and strokes his dog and other such things. Outcry. People are pissed off. To be fair to Good Old Games, they are actually offering refunds if you bought the game. To the developers, I say naughty, naughty, naughty. Look, I can see both sides of this, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, these guys have obviously busted ass to get this game out there, and they ran out their own money, and they were desperate to get it out. And selling an unfinished game is, without saying it's unfinished, is really quite naughty. What they should have done, and this is me being Captain Hindsight, I would have recommended releasing the game and saying that this was episodic. Trim it off a little bit earlier and use the proceeds from that to fund the next step of the game, because that's what a lot of people do. And they could have done that and they could have slapped it out and people wouldn't have been upset about it. So it's a question of semantics, but yes, naughty boys, don't do it again, naughty boys and girls, and I hope you get some money to finish off the game and patch it so that all the people who don't get a refund, which I believe are the Steam customers, because I don't think Steam's offering refunds. I may be wrong, but I know GOG is. So if you bought it from GOG and you want a refund, they'll credit you or refund you, which is nice. You know, it's a tricky time for the indies. I mean, they, you know, when you fund something with your own money and you run out, what do? Do you just, you know, write off 2 years of your life? Do you write off the couple of $100,000 you've invested? But I think this comes back to another thing, is that it would be nice to see indies take on PR people and marketing people for more than just pushing a Kickstarter. I mean, I get so many emails every week now saying, oh, well, we're proud to announce that we are now promoting this title, which has just gone into Kickstarter. When you put a Kickstarter out and you hire a PR agency to promote the Kickstarter, well, that's a chunk of your money gone right away. Like money that's not going to go into the game. So you have to ask for more. And that just is daft to me. But what I would say is that if you are going to hire somebody, you know, or get some advice or whatever, do it when you're near a launch. Get it play tested. You know, those little bits and bobs actually do help. Next up, day one, Gary's Incident, which I've confused with Gary's Mod so many times. What is it with people called Gary getting their own games? Hello, I'm Gary, I got a game, I got 2 games. Why do we have Marcus's Incident? Day one. Yeah, why has it been in the news? Well, Total Biscuit, the YouTuber who is a very smart and savvy commentator, also British, very witty, very urbane, does some very good videos and covers a lot of indie games. He got a review code for Gary's Day One Incident. Gary's Day One Incident. Sounds like Gary shat himself. Yeah, so he got a review code from the developers and he went and reviewed it. And he wasn't very kind to the game, because by all accounts the game is not great. Not great. So it went up. It became the top viewed video, you know, for the game on YouTube. And the developers saw this and they watched the video and they were irate. They went, oh, don't you shit on our Gary. And they basically filed a complaint to YouTube and got the video taken down. And what was the complaint? That the review was bad? No. That Total Biscuit was too British? No, it was a complaint that Total Biscuit was monetizing off their IP. It was a copyright infringement claim. Now this is fucking naughty. They're not the first guys to pull this shit. I mean, look, we talked before about Nintendo and the Let's Players. Sega have done it. I understand Square Enix have been a little naughty in this department from time to time. And, you know, what I've said about the Let's Play stuff still stands. I think that if you are doing something cool, if Nintendo or any other publisher is smart, they come to you and say, well, we're not going to take this down even though it is technically our IP. You're actually, you know, profiting directly off our content there. Let's partner up. let's split the revenues. The big difference with Gary's incident is that it's a review. And Gary's incident is covered under the fair use doctrine here in the US. So yeah, basically stuff like this sets worrying precedents because it is censorship. No matter what you do to claim that it's your copyrighted IP, it's bogus because it's under the fair use. And the fact that they said that, oh, he's making money off it because he's putting ads on there. Well, why shouldn't he put ads on YouTube? It's his video, it's a review, it's something people obviously want to see. Why shouldn't he have ads on it? You know, if you send him a review code, I'm sure you're going to look at his previous stuff and go, oh, derp, there's an ad. So that really doesn't stand up. Now, to be fair, they have rescinded this, this takedown request, and I think the video is probably going to go back up, but the damage has already been done to that particular developer. Nobody is going to be interested in working with them for a very, very long time. So what do you take away from both Gary's incident and Dark Matter? Well, for once, PR might not be the devil, because both companies, I think, were in need of severe PR advice. And I think it would be great if a number of the PR agencies that are being taken on to promote Kickstarters actually just turn around and instead media train and, really just show some PR common sense to these people instead of inundating everybody's inbox with, oh look, here's a Kickstarter for a game, and this game has also got a Kickstarter, and here's a Kickstarter for the Kickstarter, because we're trying to raise money to pay the PR agency to promote the Kickstarter that we're going to have. So yes, Kickstarters getting a little bit long in the tooth, don't need PR. Indies who want to make good games and want to put games out there, whether they be finished or whatever, they need some PR advice. So guess what? I'm filming this on Thursday. Last night being Wednesday, I had a Twitter conversation with David Jaffe. God of War, Twisted Metal. Opinionated bloke. I like David, I really do. He really doesn't mind putting his thoughts out there, and I respect that. So yeah, David did an interview, and one that got the Nintendo fanboys all riled up. And he's a big fan of Nintendo. He has said this over the years. He's a big fan of the games. He likes the IP, but he was a little critical of, the way Nintendo are managing their IP, and we're getting a lot of stuff regurgitated. And he suggested that Nintendo might benefit as Marvel and Star Wars are benefiting by being sold to a company like Disney. And of course, the Nintendo fans went bananas. How dare you suggest that Nintendo, who are, really hurting on the actual console front. I'm not talking about 3DS. 3DS is doing great. They know how to do handheld. They've known how to dominate the handheld space since the grey brick with Tetris. We're talking about the Wii U and the fact that we need some new IP from Nintendo, because they are geniuses over there. And he said that maybe a new management structure, a new environment would benefit Nintendo, and it would also allow them to perhaps monetize in other areas. So we could finally see Mario come to, say, an iPhone, or we could see, a Disney theme park, a literal Super Mario World. That is some interesting thoughts, and we need more of those interesting thoughts in the games industry. But what we don't need is some of the asshats who started trolling him and the outcry that came from these asshats. And I'm calling them asshats because some of them came after me last night, slapping abuse out there, not listening to any common sense. Nintendo needs to put the Wii U out there and make it something that's viable for third parties to support, because we want that. We want Nintendo to be successful. We want a 3-console party system, because a 2-party system doesn't work. We don't want just Xbox, we don't want just PlayStation, we don't want PlayStation and Xbox. We want Nintendo to be strong and viable. So if somebody decides they want to think outside the box, somebody who's worked in this industry for a very long time, somebody who has created some incredible IP of his own, who's worked for a couple of different companies, and he's right to offer up some alternatives. He does give a shit. That's why he thinks that they need to adapt and move on. A lot of us give a shit. It's just the very, very vocal minority who sit in a corner, who claim to be the uber hardcore fanboys, who don't want any fucking change whatsoever, who are the ones who will oversee the demise of Nintendo. I will see you next week. Don't forget, Annoyed Gamer is on a Saturday, and Pop Culture Podcast is coming up, and Invisible Walls was last night. As usual, abuse me on Twitter, because I am a sadist and I like it, and I love using that spam block button. It's fantastic. Bye.